On the first floor, Charles was at long last video chatting with his uncle, James Willoughby III, the Librarian of Congress, who had finally shown up for the Ask an Expert call. "Sorry for the delay, Charles." "That's okay, Uncle Jimmy," Charles said, straining to smile and not scream. The time is now 11 a.m., announced the annoyingly placid lady in the ceiling. "This game will end in 1 hour." Charles had to hustle. "Sir, I know you're a very important, very busy man, so I just have one quick question. If I were a book on true crimes in the state of Ohio, where would you shelf me?" "Library of Congress, classification, no sir, Dewey Decimal." "Ah, easy. 364.1. What comes after the one will depend, of course, on how many books a library." Charles didn't stick around to hear the rest of his uncle's answer. He took off running for the closet, spiral staircase up to the second floor. As he ascended the steps 2 at a time, he saw Kyle Keeley and his entire entourage running down a staircase from the third floor. Charles reached the second floor balcony. He darted around the bent past the floor to the 500s room, the 400s. Keeley and his crew were coming from the opposite direction, but Charles reached the floor to the 300s room. Before them, he swiped the library card, yanked the handle, and dashed into the room. He scanned the shelves and headed to his right. He heard Keeley enter the room. Glancing over his shoulder, Charles saw Keeley go left. Charles dashed up an aisle between bookcases. He read the numbers at the end of each row of shelves. 310, 320, 330. One of those robots with the book baskets came rumbling across his path, but Charles was able to dodge it. 340, 350. Keeley's footsteps pounded up the passageway. On the other side of the shelving units to his left. In the middle of the 300s room, they entered an open space with a judge's bench and witness box. Charles was getting closer to the true crime section, but so was Kyle. Charles and Keeley read something off his palm. He had the whole call number. It was time to change tactics. Charles hung back and let Keeley take the lead. Kyle rushed toward a bookcase. Charles sprinted after him. "Got it," Kyle shouted as he reached for a book on the shelf. But before he could completely put it out, Charles grabbed hold of the book too. They both yanked it off the shelf. Kyle had the spine. Charles had hold of the top. They tugged it back and forth while they wrestled with the book. Keeley's teammates caught up to them. "Careful," Kyle cried. "Syria, Russell, don't hurt the book." Charles grinned. Keeley, the sentimental sap, was listening to the silly bookish girl and easing up on his grip, giving Charles his chance. He body-checked Keeley, slammed into him with his shoulder, sent him flying, the book tumbling, and Charles snatched it off the floor. He had the book. He quickly flipped through the table of contents. Saw chapter 11 was about a robbery at the Gold Leaf Bank in Alexanderville. He knew he won the game. Charles used his free hand to slap an L on his forehead. Loser, he sneered at Keeley. A tiger roared, a whistle blew, and Mr. Limoncanto entered the room, accompanied by Clarence, Clement, and what looked like a rare Bengal tiger, Mr. Chingonson. Charles smiled. He knew Mr. Lecanto was about to congratulate him for defying the odds and winning the game. He had single-handedly defeated Kyle Keeley's entire team. Yes, sir, Mr. Lecanto. Do you remember me? Dr. Zinconcio's number one rule? You bet, sir. No food or drink, except in the book Loot Cafe. No, said Mr. Lecanto, touching the tip of his nose and making a buzzer noise. Dr. Z? Tell him what he should have said. Dr. Zinconcio's voice peered out of the ceiling speakers. Be gentle with each other, and most especially the library books and exhibits. I know, said Charles. That's why I had to stop Kyle. Keeley. He was ready to rip the cover off this poor book. Heck, sir, everybody at school knows that Kyle Keeley is a maniac. He'll do anything to win a game. Mr. Lecanto turned to Keeley. Is that true, Kyle? Would you actually destroy property if it stood between you and your prize? Well, sir, Keeley was stuttering. The fool didn't know how to lie. Charles quickly opened the book to chapter 11 and slipped in his library card. The book to bookmark the location. You should ask Keeley about the window he broke, sir. Mr. Lecanto turned to face Charles again. The window. Yes, sir. The whole school heard about it. See, Kyle Keeley and his two brothers were playing some sort of wild scavenger hunt game, and Mr. Lecanto pointed at the book. That's clever. You see your library card as a bookmark? Yes, sir, I sure do. And Charles, turning on the charm, of course, I can't take full credit for such a clever idea. On Friday night, I saw Syria Russell doing it, and you told Andrew Peckelman to borrow her card. Charles blinked several times. I beg your pardon. You broke Mr. Zincanto's number one rule. You were not gentle with your teammate Andrew. In fact, you bullied him into stealing Miss Russell's library card, which you knew she always used as a bookmark. No, sir, I did not. Yes, Charles, you did. Mr. Lecanto touched his right ear. In fact, Dr. Zincanto has spent the past few hours combing through those security tapes. Guess what he just found? Charles heard his own voice ringing out of the ceiling speakers. Have you noticed what Sierra Russell uses for a bookmark? No. That's what Andrew said, Mr. Lecanto. This is you again. Here, library card. Her library card, which of course doubles it as a key card for meeting rooms. B. Find a way to borrow it. You told Andrew to steal Sierra's library card? How could you record that? Said Charles. I was whispering, and I have very good microphones. You're done, Charles. Dr. Zincanto, tell our departing guest what he had just won. Absolutely nothing, said the voice. Absolutely nothing, said the voice of a Russian librarian. But please, Dr. L., tell Charles the correct answer to the final pictogram. Ah, yes, Mr. Lecanto. reached into his back pocket and pulled out 4x4 card and showing it to Charles. Charles stood there fumming. Anyone care to help Charles out? Said Carl. Is it 6E? You are very close, said Mr. Lecanto. There was a pause, and then Haley laughed. Did it come after the football player? Yeah, said Charles. So? Andrew was right all along, and Haley, the football player, clue wasn't passed. It was in 19. It was 19. Mr. Lecanto shifted into the game show voice. So Haley Daly, would you care to solve the puzzle? Sure. You can walk out the way bandits crawled in 1968. I don't get it, said Charles. 1968? Said Acme. 1968. Mixed up. Ah, yes, said Mr. Lecanto. The year from the mixed up files of Miss Basil E. Frank Wheeler won the Newbery Medal for excellence in children's literature. Another clue you completely missed, Charles. Wow, said Miguel, and I thought Chilantos never lose. There's a first time for everything, said Mr. Lecanto. Clement kindly exhorted young Mr. Chilanton. From the building, bye-bye, said Acme. There goes the big guest loser.